Good evening, everybody. How you doing this evening? I am George. Couldn't make it this evening, so Optimus Prime here is stepping in instead, and it's actually getting kind of hot and sweaty here, so I might just take this off. Oh, look, it is me after all, transformed. Actually, transformation. I could have done something with that if I only thought. I just saw this thing at the last moment, and fifth birthday party at the weekend, and this was, look at this thing. Brilliant present. £3, apparently £3 from Argos, and it is technically Gabriel's, but trust me, I will be getting my own one of these. I think I might go sideswipe rather than Optimus Prime. Anyway, if you're joining us live for the session, just comment below. Even if you're joining us on the recording, just comment below. Say hello. Say where you're listening in from. I have probably got 30 minutes or so of content that I want to share with you this evening, and I said in the tee up post earlier on today that we were going to be talking about the difference between mindset and BRAINset, and then specifically we're going to talk about a little process by which you can create greater clarity of thought, which is something that is so simple, and the process itself is very simple, and actually applying it is pretty straightforward as well. The only thing you have to do is to have the awareness and then actually do it. So we're going to be working through that system here this evening. So hi Pam and Jason and Keith listening in this evening, and Barbara, Manchester, Bedford, we've also got Basildon. Basildon, Jay, you made it. I thought you weren't going to be able to make it live to the session, or maybe you got a nip off early. Claire's listening in here from Torbay. Lovely. I bet it's been nice down in Devon the last few days. Guys, just as you come in here, just as I say, comment below, leave a little note, just say hello. I say where you're listening in from, because the thing with this group in particular is that we are spread not all over the UK, but all over the world, mainly the UK and Ireland. But I know we've got many international wagoners as well, flying the flag for On the Wagon in all the corners of the world. So let us know where you're from. Lots of we've got Malden, East London there. It doesn't actually, for some reason, let me scroll back to. Oh, here we go. I can scroll back a little bit. So from Marlow, lovely Marlow, Wokingham. Vicky, is that Vicky? Did I see Vicky stop listening in? Whereabouts are you, Vicky? I think you've been away for a few days. But anyway, keep on rolling them through. I won't keep on going back to them and saying hi to everybody individually, because I do want to get stuck in and appreciate the time that you're giving to listen in to the session this evening. What I will say is, if you have any questions, then you are always more than welcome to ask them. And as long as I'm able to, I'll probably have to do it on the phone, kind of a double screening thing going on here. Go back through them at the end rather than break my stride. If there are any questions, I'll see if I can answer them. But what I'm going to do as well this evening is I'm going to give you an overview of what the new Boost Kickstart program, the KS 3.0, as I've cleverly called it, because it's really the third iteration of the Kickstart program that we've been doing for a few years now. I'm going to talk a little bit about that at the end and how it relates to the subject matter that I'm going to be covering in the meat of the session. Really, if you're thinking, okay, I've got what I need, and I'm going to bugger off at that point, that's absolutely fine. I won't hold it against you. But if you are intrigued by what's new, what I've been feverishly beavering away at, sweating away my even in the shade in the garden over the last few days, and filming yesterday in the office, and lots more work still to go. If you want to find out more about what that is all about and why I felt it was now was the right time to completely rewrite what was already a pretty good program, then stick around. I'll tell you all about it, and I'll tell you how, if you want to, you can get involved and join us on the next Kickstart, which begins on Monday, so just a few days away. It is 12 weeks long. I'll tell you that right now. And I will also be explaining not just how much it costs to join us, but also what happens if you've got holidays planned, if you're not going to be around for a few of those weeks. So make sure you stick around if you're even just a little bit, just a teensy-weensy little bit intrigued and think that actually maybe a little bit of assistance and guidance with a different approach to things might help with well-being, weight loss, and nutrition, and all those other good things that I love to talk about and share about. So let's talk a little bit about mindset first of all. In fact, do me a favor here. Just post in the thread what your understanding of mindset is. Because everyone's got a different, maybe not definition, but kind of different aspects of it will leap to mind, to coin a phrase. So I'm just kind of interested and curious, really, as to what you think about when you think about mindset. Whether that's positive mindset, negative mindset, kind of the dark or the light side of the mindset. What are your thoughts on that? What do you think about? And I queued this up earlier on. I talked a little bit about positive thinking and discipline and motivation and so on. But what is it you think about when you think about mindset? Just comment in the comment box, and I'll see if I can scroll through and see if I can catch any of those. Hang on a second. Let me get double screening here, which is always good. Here we go. BRAINset. Here we go. Okay, let's have a look. See what your thoughts are. It's not there. The thing with live, if you're doing it on a Mac, it doesn't actually show you the comments feed. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Where am I? I can't find myself on here. Someone leave a comment so it bumps it back to the top. Oh, here we go. I can see myself now. Just don't want to have to listen to myself at the same time. Okay, here we go. Growth or fix. That's from Melissa. Growth allows you to be open to feedback, whereas closed blames everything that goes wrong on everything else. Yeah. Jay, where your mind's center point generally is. Great comments there. Mindset is the resolution or motivation behind your ideas. The brain is working with or against me achieving my goals, Louisa. Yeah. Outlook on approach to life, as Keith. Sarah, how you channel your thoughts and emotions to be able to function to achieve what you need to achieve. Fiona, your approach to health and fitness, etc. Zoe, something's come up and you can't make it. Catch us on the record. Okay, so well, look, as you can see there, and none of those are wrong, by the way. They're all perfectly right and perfectly good descriptions of what mindset is or could be. But the interesting thing is they're all very different. And everyone has their own kind of understanding. And this is the thing that I really want to go into today, is looking at the difference between kind of abstraction and generalisms, generalizing, and getting specific. Because actually, when you can start getting specific with things and what we mean, that's when we can start taking action to more closely align with what it is that we feel that we need to do. And if the answer from that comes out that actually I don't know what I need to do, then at least you know what it is you need to start looking for, rather than feeling, well, my mindset, I haven't got enough self-belief, or I've got low self-confidence, or I just have negative self-talk all the time, or whatever it is that you feel isn't quite right with your mindset at the moment. And actually, the fact that we've got 40 odd people live on the session this evening tells me that mindset is a fairly important topic in your lives, and something that we all have a mindset. It's just whether or not it's working for us at the moment or not. And I also know that many of us will be kind of up and down. Many of us will be kind of feeling pretty motivated. Melissa, saw you in What's Cooking just yesterday, sitting there having a chat with Dave Sellers, and you come in, and as you were leaving, we had a conversation. You said, right now you feel like you're absolutely buzzing, you're really on top of things. And whereas for the last few weeks you've kind of been down, feeling a little bit kind of low in energy, and not as positive as you are right now. So we kind of get this boom and bust cycle. So mindset isn't just a fixed thing that's always on level. We get periods where we're up and periods where we're down. Actually, Melissa, your comment there about your kind of reference to Carol Dweck's work of fixed or growth mindset is a really, really important one as well. And obviously, we've had many interesting conversations about mindset over the years. But anyway, let's talk about the difference then between mindset and what I refer to as BRAINset. And a lot of this stuff, it's not my phraseology. I get a lot of this stuff from the courses that I follow and take part in the books that I read and the research that I do. And I'm really just a kind of a channeler and a cement mixer for all of these ideas. I'm thinking about cement mixers because I've got one over my shoulder at the moment over there in the corner. We're having the patio done. So cement mixer just seemed to be the right metaphor to use. But I mix and meld all the different ideas and things that come into my kind of cerebral and try to distill them down into things that make sense to me, and then hopefully they make a little bit of sense to you. So the difference between mindset and BRAINset is that BRAINset is really looking at kind of how the brain works and how we can take control of that. And many of you are familiar with this already. When we talk about BRAINset, if you've read or even heard about the book, The Chimp Paradox, you've already been exposed to the concept of what's known as the triune brain theory, which is this whole idea of triune, three in one, three brains in one, where we kind of evolved from reptiles, where we had just the reptilian brain centers, which are really just interested in physical survival, procreation, gathering food, survival of territorial survival as well. And then we evolved into mammals, and we became much more concerned with social connections, and emotion played a much bigger part in our kind of psychological makeup. And then eventually we evolved into the Homo sapiens that we are today, 50 to 100,000 years ago, whatever it was, where we have this neocortex, the prefrontal cortex in particular, which is what really defines us as human beings, where we're able to be logical and creative, and we're able to do things today that are going to benefit a future version of us. And when we understand about that, then we can see how these different brains sometimes kind of, they have different motivations, and we might set our goals with the PFC, the prefrontal cortex, and we might be very logical and say, well, this makes sense. I want to lose weight because I want to feel more confident. I want to feel like I can go and do more things, and I want to feel happier. And to that, I need to lose weight. So I know what I need to do. I need to look after my diet. I need to exercise. But then when it comes to it, and you're feeling emotional, you're feeling put upon, or you're feeling judged, or you're feeling like you're being somehow psychologically threatened, then you tend to make different decisions. And this is where we get into the realms of self-sabotage and emotional eating, and doing the things that seem to be completely at odds with the things that we say we want to do. And leave a comment if that kind of rings true for you, if you've ever done that. If you set yourself a goal and you think, yeah, I absolutely want that, I believe that, I've got a really powerful why, I know that I want to achieve that, whether it's weight loss or training related or whatever it is, yet you still find yourself knowing what you need to do but not doing it. In fact, worse than that, doing the opposite, and not going out training when you could do, eating all of the wrong foods, and even knowing at the time what you're doing, and that kind of frustration. So if that's ever happened to you, just leave a little comment and let me know, because I'm pretty sure most of us have experienced something along those lines at some point in our lives, and possibly quite frequently. Claire says pretty much daily. Julia, that's me with a weight loss at the moment. So yeah, this isn't something that if you experience this isn't something that is just you. This doesn't mean you're some kind of failure, or that you're strange in some way, you can't do this. It's explained quite simply with this whole idea of the interplay between the three brains that reside inside your noggin. So why is that important, and how does understanding that help us? Well, first of all, and this is, I'll talk a little bit more about how this relates to the Kickstart program later on, but certainly in the coaching that I've done, a big part of it is helping people stay out of threat, and understanding how you can do that, and how you can recognize when you're in threat, so that you can safeguard against some of the seemingly self-sabotaging things that you might normally experience yourself doing. And one way we can do that is by getting clarity on exactly what it is that we actually mean when we say things like, I don't believe in myself, or I always tend to self-sabotage, or I know what I don't want. And actually getting some specifics on what it is that we do want, whether it's beliefs or values or the goals that we have for ourselves, or even just the things that we say about ourselves that are, that talk about that negative self-talk. Anything you say to yourself or to other people that seems to be abstract, unless it's a clearly defined thing, then this process, which is very simply 3 steps: define, refine, and align. That's define, refine, and align. That process can bring incredible, intense clarity of thought, or clarity to your thinking. And once you have that clarity, it's a lot easier to take away separate the data from the drama, and actually look at what is it that I actually need to do, rather than focusing on the whole kind of emotional baggage that goes with that. Again, emotional baggage, not in a derogatory sense, we all have this. But sometimes that data, the actual facts, can get muddled up with the drama, the emotion, and it's very difficult to see, and we kind of tend to catastrophize. It's very difficult to see exactly what it is that we need to do, or what it is we're striving to achieve. So this process is something that we come back to time and again, not only in coaching, but now in this in the new boost. What can you do, eh? What can you do? internet signal problems, camera then cutting out. Hopefully it's going to allow us to finish this webinar in one piece. Well, let's actually look at this as a situation now, right? I've got a webinar I want to deliver, got some important content, important information. I've bigged it up, telling you how simple this system of define, refine, align is going to be. And obviously I want to tell you a little bit about my program. I want some of you to come along and join me. That's important to me as well. And then I have problems with the signal. So what happens inside my head, or what should be happening inside my head, but actually is pretty all right at the moment. So in that situation, all of a sudden, brains go into threat mode. When your brain goes into threat mode, you start making rash or different decisions to that which is necessarily the best. So one of the things that is kind of super important, this isn't anything to do with define and refine and align, but one of the things that is critical is to look at what you can control and what you cannot control. Because when you start fretting and worrying and getting anxious about things that you're unable to control, that's when it's game over. Your limbic system, your emotional brain will start upregulating, your human brain will start downregulating, and you're going to start making all your decisions based upon the immediate threat that you perceive. So right now, my brain is saying, oh my goodness, panic, because people can't, people are being shut out, and yeah, everyone's there, and everyone's going to think you're a dick, and you can't even get your text sorted out, and that's what my brain's saying. But because I've highly trained and I have the power of transformers, don't forget as well. My human brain, it's okay, because I'm saying it's fine. It'll be okay. Just start the video again and just pick up where you left off, even though that's been about 5-6 minutes now, and I can't quite remember exactly what I was up to. So I'll tell you what we'll do. I'm just going to pass straight into what I think we were, which was talking about define, refine, and align. So this process is really straightforward and can be applied to many, many areas of your life. And it's all about getting greater clarity of thought to whatever it is you need more clarity on. So when things are abstract and things are a little bit woolly, and there's a lot of drama, a lot of emotion attached to them, then separating that out and getting the data from that, getting the information, that's where you can start actually taking some action to make changes. So let's go through this, because there's a number of questions that I encourage you to ask yourself. In fact, I said, if you have a pen and paper hand, you can jot some of these down. Again, if you're following the program, if you do decide to come along and do the Boost program, you're going to be very, very familiar with the system by the end of it. But the questions to ask yourself, and let's talk about a belief right now. Let's say, well, I want to believe this, or I don't believe that about myself. Let's say that I don't have any self-belief. Okay, so I need more self-belief. That's kind of my mindset problem at the moment. So what you do with these questions is you ask yourself, well, okay, well, no, let's not look at what I don't want. Let's come back to that. What is it that I do want? You say, well, I want more self-belief. Okay, that's the thing that I want. So, I believe that if I had more self-belief, whatever that is, if I had more self-belief, then I would be able to achieve X, Y, and Z. Okay? So we take ourselves through 2 sets of 4 questions. The first question is, well, if I had more self-belief, what would I be doing? So that's the first thing. Ask yourself, what would you be doing? The second question to ask yourself is, well, what would I be thinking? So move away from what you're thinking now and what you think when you experience a lack of self-belief. When you have self-belief, what would you be thinking? What would you be doing? What would you be thinking? Ask yourself, what would you be feeling? What emotions and feelings would you be experiencing? What would you be feeling? What would you be doing? What would you be thinking? And what would you be feeling? And then the fourth question is, what would you be saying? Not only to other people, but to yourself. So what would you be saying to yourself and to other people? So they're the first 4 questions. So this is how you define anything you want, anything that's abstract at the moment. Get some definition, some clarity on what it is that you want. And this is quite a hard process. I'm going to make it easier for you in a second when we go through the refine process, which is what we tend towards a little bit more. But the reason it's hard to do this is because we tend to think in terms of negatives. So we tend to think what we don't want. I don't want to have a lack of self-belief. I don't want to, I want to lose weight. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. So when you think about what you do want, it does take a little bit of conscious effort. And sometimes it's difficult to do that because we've never really thought about it. We just know what we don't want. And then we've got to try and put our attention on the things that we said that we do want. So that's the first step. Those 4 questions. What if I had self-belief, what would I be doing? What would I be thinking? What would I be feeling? And what would I be saying to myself and to other people? So that's the first step, the define. Now the refine, we're going to do the same 4 questions, but we're going to flip them. So define is this is what it is. And refine is this is what it isn't. So define what it is, refine what it isn't. And the refine is just the same 4 questions, but as I said, flipped into the negative. So when I have self-belief, I would not be doing. So these are some of the things that I wouldn't be doing if I had self-belief. I would not be thinking. If I had self-belief, then I wouldn't be thinking these things. And you probably got an idea of what those things are, because they're possibly some of the things, if you suffer from a lack of self-belief, that you do right now. So what wouldn't you be doing? What wouldn't you be thinking? What would you not be feeling? What emotions and feelings would you not be experiencing? And maybe take this from situation to situation as well. I'll come back to that in a moment, because the 4th question there, or the 8th question of the 8, is what wouldn't you find yourself saying to yourself and to other people? And that's normally a biggie as well. The things that inner dialogue that you currently have, if you suffer from a lack of self-belief, what is it you're saying at the moment? Because obviously that's what that's the definition of what you don't want. That's you refining this concept of self-belief as it applies to you. So once you've got that, then you've got a much clearer understanding as to what this thing is. And this will be situation to situation. I have yet to meet a person who has no self-belief in any aspect of their life. And you may well be sitting there or standing there thinking, well, I've got really kind of low self-belief and self-esteem. But there's going to be something that you know inside and out, or that you have got tremendous confidence with. So you have experienced this before. Maybe you're a parent and you feel like you're doing a pretty good job as a parent, but you can't nail your nutrition or your exercise, and you feel like your mindset's all over the place, but you still manage to get your kids ready for school each morning and put food on the table for them and look after them. So you've got confidence and self-belief in your ability to do that. So look to other areas of your life where you do have that belief. It doesn't have to be family. It could be anywhere. Perhaps you're really, really good at the job that you do. Perhaps you have a hobby that you're really, really good at as well. All these are areas where you have that self-belief. It's already there, but you perhaps don't experience the same self-belief in the areas of your life that you truly want them to be in. So we've got this understanding, this feeling of what the definition of it can be like. What are you doing? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? And what are you saying to yourself and to other people when you're in the situation that you're most concerned with? So you can do this with anything at all. But the point is, anytime you find yourself being abstract, anytime you find yourself asking the question, you'll see me doing this all the time in the group. Somebody will say to me, well, what specifically do you mean by that? What specifically could you do? And that word specific or specificity, or not specificity, but specific or specifically, it just means that you've got to really think about, well, what do I actually mean by that? And the define and refine process is a really straightforward way of getting much greater clarity on whatever it is you're kind of stuck on. So that's the first 2 parts. There were 3 parts: define, refine, and align. And align really is, once you've got the definition, you know what it is that you need to do, then the align is looking at, well, what can I do to more closely align my behaviors and my thoughts with what I now know to be the definition of what I want to be. So what can I do to more closely align? Now, this doesn't mean you have to be 100%. It's not to say that once you've figured this out and you know what the definition is, what you do want versus what you don't want, that's it. Like, you now don't have to worry about anything else. You just go ahead and do those things, because actually we still need to work through marginal gains and that 1% better every single day, and progress, not perfection, which is a huge overarching principle that kind of runs my life. I never try and get things right and get things perfect. I try to improve on things each time, but it takes a lot of pressure off as well. If you don't feel like you have to be perfect with whatever you do, you just need to be getting a little bit better. As long as you can learn from the mistakes that you made, then that's okay. That's a huge thing. So, looking at how you can apply this, and then you look at what can you do to align more closely with your new definition of the thing that you're trying to achieve or be more of. So the difference between this, which is kind of sort of mindset, but with BRAINset in kind of mixed into the middle of it as well, is because when you have that clarity of thought, you're less likely to go into this threat mode which is where we tend to make the poor decisions, or the decisions that are incongruent with the things that we say that we want to do. So my challenge to you is to spend a little bit of time thinking. Maybe start with something easy. Start with a belief you have, or something that you find yourself doing all of the time. I do the air quotes because it probably isn't all of the time, but something that you a habit you have that you want to break. Get some clarity on what it is that you want instead. And this is a huge thing. The brain is like Teflon for for positivity, and Velcro for negativity. So anything that's negative, anything you don't want, we suck on that. It's like we hold on to criticisms like a million times stronger than we hold on to positive compliments. Someone gives you a compliment, you're more likely to brush it off. But you get 1,000 compliments and one negative criticism, and that's the thing that you focus on, because our brains are hardwired to think about criticism and negativity, because that's what's going to keep us safe. And safety is paramount. Survival, as long as we can survive, then we can look at self-actualizing and becoming the best versions of ourselves. But there's no point in thinking about the future if there ain't going to be a future. We've got to survive the here and now. So we focus on the negative much more than we do the positive. So that's kind of the main part of what I wanted to talk about this evening: the BRAINset mindset conundrum. And I can see there've been a few questions popping up there, so I'm going to see if I can kind of go through that, scroll through them, and here we go. I can just about scroll here. So Sarah says, when I have self-belief, I feel I can do and achieve anything. When I don't, I feel anxious, unconfident, and a bit useless. So again, really, Sarah, what I'd suggest doing is kind of going even deeper with that. You know, what is it? What sort of things do you say to yourself? What are those feelings? What are the emotions that you're experiencing when you are experiencing self-belief? What is it that you're doing? And one other kind of caveat to this: just by knowing this stuff doesn't mean you're going to be bulletproof and you're never going to have anxiety again. You know, anxiety and fear, they're very healthy emotions to have, as long as they're not things that are driving the bus, as long as they're not the things that are controlling your life and the progress that you make. But it's not that we're trying to eliminate fear and anxiety and worry and doubt from our minds. It's just understanding how we can use them, and not for kind of the safety mechanisms that they are, the kind of heighten your alert state, rather than actually making you make choices that aren't perhaps the best things for you. And so if my self-belief, confidence goes, I'm more likely to self-sabotage too. Yeah, exactly. And I'm wondering, just so if that's a situational thing, or if there's any other kind of triggers that happen. You know, what is it that causes that self-belief? And when you say it goes, there's probably something that causes that to happen. Lynn, hello, just back from a run. I wouldn't have done before on the wagon worked. It's osmosis, self-belief, magic. What did I miss? You missed, this is the third part, Lynn. The first two parts were dust. Well, the first part we got a good bit of content in an overview, and I was arsing around with the Transformers mask. You missed that, but go back and watch that. But this is where most of the teachy stuff has been in this little video. Shaz, I often wish I had the same self-belief and confidence out of work as I do when I'm in work. So kind of a great realization there, Shaz, that self-belief isn't the problem. It's situational self-belief about particular things. And here's a little story about belief as well, because I 3 years ago now, 4 years, I can't remember how long it was ago, I wrote the book Beginner's Luck Guide for Non-Runners, and many of you will have done that. And one of the most tremendous things that I've witnessed about people who have followed that program is this complete transformation in belief about ability to run. I know there are probably a few of you listening into the webinar this evening who started that program, that 0 to 60 running program, from complete scratch, from a zero ground level belief in yourself and your ability to run. But brick by brick, you built up the wall of belief, and you were able to take step after step after step closer to the point where eventually you were able to step into that belief yourself. So just because there's something that you have that you don't fully believe in at the moment doesn't mean you're never going to be able to believe in it. You get that clarity, and you make those steps, and you get closer and closer to it, that incremental gain, and then eventually you wake up one morning and think, well, what on earth was the problem? We've got people who are running marathons now, and half marathons and 10Ks regularly, who 6 months, 12 months ago would never even imagine themselves being able to run for a bus. So as an example there, belief isn't something you have to just switch on overnight. It's not. If you don't believe something, then you don't believe it. It's like, someone falls in a swimming pool and they can't swim. You can't just stand on the side and say, just swim. If you can't swim, you can't swim. If you don't believe it, you don't believe it. But all you need to believe is that it might be something that can change, right? Because if you have an element of doubt in it, then you just need to keep on taking that next step and you start making more progress towards that. It's just something that you believe. In the program, in Boost, we will be talking a lot more about kind of the transformation of habits and beliefs, and the part of your brain, the basal ganglia, that takes on the role of habitual automatic behaviours and thought patterns. Because if you can shift something from the very energy hungry prefrontal cortex, the human brain, the front part of your brain, so this is what I need to do, this is where discipline and willpower lives, and you can shift that to the back of your brain to where the basal ganglia is, that's when you start getting true transformation, and you literally start finding yourself thinking, actually, really, there wasn't ever a problem here. You only, got to look back and see some of the posts or some of the evidence that you had that really this was something that was a huge deal for you at one point. But it just becomes a part of who you are, and whether that's nutrition, eating healthy, the exercise habit. You suddenly find yourself, you've ignited the exercise habit, and it's something you need as much as breathing. If you don't get it for a couple of days, then you start getting a bit angsty and a little bit, gnawing on the furniture and peeing on the carpet. That tends to be my what I tend to do. Oh, that's just a dog. Sorry. If I haven't been out for walkies for a few days, then that's how I feel. So what Jay says, I never self-sabotage at work. I think because I'm a teacher, if I did, it would hurt the kids, so I do it all the time outside of work. So you probably build up a bank of stress, Jay, and a bank of stuff that you've got to then carry around with you. You're not allowed to allow that to come out. You don't allow yourself for it to come out, and probably as a teacher, that's probably a safe thing to do. But then it's still in there, and if it's been suppressed, then it can be one tiny little thing that happens, and all of a sudden, and away you go. We got Sarah coming back saying, where's it gone? Sarah, in answer to your question, based on my last comment, it tends to be situational for me. It's something out of my comfort zone. I'm more likely to lack confidence in my ability, even though I know I'll be okay and can do it. Sometimes throwing me in at the deep end is better, as I have to do it. There's no getting away with it then. Again, you can kind of explain a lot of this with the way the brain works. And by the way, trying brain theory, the chimp paradox, it's just an approximation of the way the brain works. It's a model. It's kind of true, but the brain is a much more complicated piece of kit than anybody on this planet can truly comprehend and understand. But the trying brain theory does a pretty good job of allowing us to kind of get under the hood and start having to poke around and making some changes to things. In answer to your question there, Sarah, or response to your comment, if there's something you're unsure about, then you have uncertainty. And when there's uncertainty, there's potential danger. And when there's potential danger, you start bringing it back into survival mode rather than thrive mode. See, when we set goals, again, goals are set because we want to thrive. We want to self-actualize, which just, thinking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization right at the top there. We want to be going out there achieving stuff. We want to be getting promoted. We want to be losing weight. We want to be getting more courageous and more confident. We want to be, running faster, jumping high, getting stronger. All of these things that are about self-actualization, they're nothing to do with survival. They're just about becoming the best version of ourselves. So if you can't, that's all in the future. If you can't survive the moment right now because there's uncertainty and potential threat, it doesn't matter that it's a psychological threat, the brain still reacts in the same way. It's going to shut you down. And it's going to take a lot of willpower and discipline to override that. So it's not to say it's impossible, but willpower and discipline, they're in finite reserve, and certainly towards the end of the day, which is often when self-sabotaging happens, when we end up kind of reaching for the bad foods, or we pop open a bottle of wine at the end of the day, even though we said we're not going to do that, because that gives us certainty. We know exactly how we're going to feel, which is good, after drinking the wine or eating the food. And so that cancels out a lot of the uncertainty that we are experiencing with this new situation. So that's essentially what's happening. Jason, a quote I read was, if you believe it, you're halfway to achieving it, which is a great quote. It is absolutely true, Jason, but therein lies the problem, because you can say that you believe it, but unless you believe it, then it's just a quote. It's a bumper sticker. So this really is about how do you build those beliefs? In the program, We've got a whole section in the transformation phase, which is the second phase. Explain that in a second. And belief work in the group recently, which went down pretty well. So I've actually built it into the program. It's about how to understand, again, using the final line process, looking at how to strip away those limiting beliefs, identifying and then stripping them away and upgrading them with beliefs that serve you better. Rebecca, and hi, George, love this, and the 5 balloon. Yay, good. I kind of wish I'd managed to keep the Transformer mask on the whole way through. But anyway, and you said loving the idea of more mindset work. Yeah, I think you're going to love. You're already in Boost, and I think you're going to love the new program. Ability for me seems to be something to do with this fear of failure thing that we've spoken about before. I think I will A, fail, or B, not be as good as last time I did the thing, or find any and all reasons to not do it. Uncertainty therefore creates a danger. Brain reverts to safety. Exactly. So that's what's happening. And you know, one of the most incredible things that I've found as well is as soon as you realize what's going on, as soon as you realize that this isn't just you being weird, or you being soft, or you being a failure, or you not being able to do it, as soon as you realize that this is just the way you're wired, not because of any kind of personality defect, it's just the way it is, and it's a survival mechanism. Nothing you do is truly about sabotage. The brain, we haven't evolved to be this incredible piece of machinery and software that we are today, with an inbuilt desire to sabotage the whole thing. It just doesn't make any sense. There's always a positive motivation behind everything we do, a secondary gain, which is, well, what am I going to get out of it if I stay on the couch rather than going out and training when it's wet and cold out there? Now, there's a motivation for doing that. You might feel like it's self-sabotage, but there's a positive reason for doing that, because you get to stay cozy, you get to maybe connect with your loved one, you get to have the dopamine response you get from anticipating and watching your favorite TV show. Maybe you're going to have some chocolate or a glass of wine on the couch, more dopamine, more feel-good chemicals from that. And obviously, that's not great for your goals, but it's something that's going to give you that instant hit of certainty here and now, creating safety and protecting you from the big bad world out there. So all of these things are incredibly interesting when you start reflecting on them, you start becoming aware of them. Awareness is absolutely the key start point. So that's yeah, it's something that I'm fascinated by, and certainly my experience over the last 4 or 5 years of neuro-linguistic programming, and more latterly, the last couple of years, neuroscience approach to coaching, which is what I've been applying with my one-to-one coaching clients and mastermind programs, and now in the Boost program with the Kickstart, is something that absolutely fascinates me, and I'm very passionate about sharing it. So I hope that some of you are kind of at least tempted to find out more about the Kickstart and how it works. And I'm already over my allotted time, myself a lot of time, but given that I had a bit of a tech fail halfway through, I'm going to give myself 5 minutes to tell you a bit more about the program and how it works and how to get involved. And again, if you have questions, I probably won't go through them all on the call, but I will read through them all afterwards and type answers to them as they pop up. So the program starts on Monday. It's a part of Boost. It's 12 weeks long. It's £97, and I can tell you now, this is the last time it's going to be £97, because this is a whopper of a program. Certainly when we were running Boost before, and it was just a 21-day program, or within a month. Even then, I thought I was kind of undercharging for it. Happy to do so because I wanted to, open it up to more people. But what we've got here is, I believe, a pretty incredible program. So it is going to still be £97 for the full 12 weeks for this round. But the next time I open it up, which will probably be in a month or so's time, I can guarantee you it's going to be more than a greater investment than that. So if you are thinking about doing this, then now is the time to jump on. Not that it won't be worth the money when the price does go up to kind of closer to what I believe the value really, really sits at. So how does it work? It is 12 weeks long. It's broken into 3 phases. And I'm not kidding when I tell you there is an email a day for 12 weeks. That's 84 emails that I have to write. I've done about 10 of them so far, so I'm up to speed for the first week and a half or so. The previous incarnation of the program relied on a video every day for the first 21 days. not so video heavy this time. And everything that I deliver in the video is going to be in written format as well as MP3 downloads so you can listen to the audios. So every day you'll get an email and it'll be the next part of the puzzle. But one of the key elements of what we'll be doing is cycling through around and around and around and actually coming back with repetition over and over again to a lot of these concepts. So we talked about define, refine, and align. Today we talked a little bit about this triune brain theory. This is kind of the high level stuff. A little bit of the detail with the define, refine, and align today, but kind of high level stuff. What we'll do with the program is we'll go through this high level in this initial foundation phase, and then we're going to build on that. We're going to go deeper. Once you've got this base underpinning knowledge, we're going to go deeper to the next level down and start applying this to practical, to your reality, making changes in your life. And then we're going to go a little deeper still, and a little deeper still, and a little deeper still. Get really granular with this, but you've got this built foundation of understanding. So as we move into the next phase, the transformation phase, and we start heaping on even more of the brain set and mindset work, and we start looking at slightly more advanced nutritional strategies, lifestyle strategies. We're going to be going big time into mindfulness and meditation. There's a lot more of that, kind of the things like journaling and morning routines, evening routines, the stuff that gives you the scaffolding for the day that allows you to kind of to build these habits into your lifestyle, into your lifestyle. So this is going to be in the foundation phase into the transformation phase, and then the third phase, the final 4 weeks of the program, is where we go into progression phase, which is where we go right back to the start again. We do a lot more work on values and how that applies to the goals that you set up in the first phase, how it applies to nutrition, how it applies to activity levels, how it applies to your training, and what's really, really important to you. So actually you're beginning to work more and more on yourself, and it becomes less about the mechanics of losing weight and the mechanics of running faster or whatever the physical goals are that you want to achieve. And it becomes more about building the best version of you as you progress and go deeper. And then, of course, you're then this new person, and you take the information that you learned in the very first phase of the program, the foundation phase, and you start looking at that again from this new perspective. You think, oh my goodness, I'm probably only doing like 10% of that. I'm in such a different place now. And you start applying more and more and more of it. So you kind of keep on cycling through deeper and deeper and deeper. Now, although the program is delivered via email every single day, they're not all long emails. Some of them are very short, actually, and many of them will be repeating information just from a slightly different angle. Saturday is a Saturday summary. So if you do find yourself missing anything during the week, you'll be able to catch up on Saturday by following up with the Saturday summary, 5 to 10 minutes, just recapping on what we've talked about during the week. Or indeed, if you have, I always recommend watching all of the videos and doing all the exercises and the content. It's not too time consuming and arduous. But even if you have watched everything, to still do that Saturday summary video, because you get this second pass. And I'm sure you've experienced this before. The second time you hear the same piece of information, the more it seems to sink in. And that's what my hope is with the Saturday summary. So no kind of new information on Saturdays, and Sundays really is about planning process as well. So that's how the phases are going to work. At the end of each phase, if you find yourself getting overwhelmed, which I've got to confess is something I've been guilty of, even though I've been kind of trying to be quite mindful of this, I've been guilty in the past of heaping too much on too soon. This is a drip, drip, drip approach. But even so, if you find yourself at the end of the first phase thinking, you know what, I could just do with a bit of a breather, you can hit the pause button and give yourself a week to catch up with anything that you've missed or anything you want to go back over again before the next phase begins. So, and the same thing happens at the end of the second phase, the end of the 8th week. So, as well as giving you the information via email, all the videos, all the content, all the downloads, the cookbook, and you're not only going to get a copy of the main cookbook with 30 breakfasts, 30 lunches, and 30 recipes. You'll get a copy of the vegetarian version of that book as well. I'm going to chuck in, as it's summer, I'm going to chuck in my barbecue clean eating cookbook as well, which has got some great recipes, marinades, and all sorts of other cool stuff in there as well. So all these downloads are going to be hosted on the members website. So you'll get access to the members site, which means you can log in and actually you'll have a grid of all the days, and you won't have access to all of the days to begin with, but each day you'll get the next level, then the next level, then the next level, and then you can easily see where you skip back to the previous. I want to have a look at that nutrition webinar again. I'm going to go back and rewatch that. Or I want to download this. Where do I find that? It's very, very easy to navigate and find exactly where the information is stored. So I'll try to make it as straightforward as possible, not only to follow, but also if over the 12-week period you find yourself getting stuck, find yourself getting behind and overwhelmed, you've got a couple of options. You've got the pause button. You've also got the panic button, which the panic button is basically you just email me or message me and say, George, I'm really stuck. I'm getting behind. I don't know how to get this back on track. And I will help you, personally help you reinsert yourself into the program at the next logical point. And if that means kind of missing out a few days, back skipping, that's fine. We can sort that. But I need to know that you've got that, and you need to know that you've got that option there in your back pocket. If you need to, you hit the panic button and say, look, I need some extra help. And I'm there in your corner, ready to help you. Like I said, hopefully there won't be too many people who do use that facility. It's there if you need it, and I'll be more than happy to help anybody who does. But I've designed so much of it around the idea of repetition, drip-fed content, less intense in terms of the time it's going to take you to watch videos. A couple of them, nutrition, for example, there's probably 35 minutes worth of nutrition webinar in the second week that I will hope you'll find the time to watch, because it's the key foundations of the nutrition program and kind of the underpinning knowledge, if you will, of what we build the whole program on. And it's not the doable stuff, it's just the information that you need to understand how sugar affects your body, how especially when we start talking about hormones as well, what the insulin response is, why insulin is a fat storage hormone, why cortisol is a fat storage hormone, where serotonin comes into play, where leptin and ghrelin, all the other hormones that are really important in your well-being, all this stuff is happening in your body already, and how kind of the information about how that applies to the theory applies to the practice, which is obviously kind of the important thing. This isn't just about understanding and having more knowing, it's about doing more doing. And I already mentioned there one of the overarching principles and philosophies we will be teaching and going through over and over again is progress, not perfection. It's not a detox, it's not a diet. We've got people who are following the Boost philosophies, following the Slimming World program, or other diets, FODMAP diets and ketogenic diet, and that's absolutely fine. This isn't a diet. I will give you food planners, I will give you meal planners, I will give you the starting points, I will give you my philosophies on nutrition and what seems to work for most people, but this is not restrictive. This is about you finding what works best for you, because let's face it, if weight loss and good nutrition are some of your goals, or they kind of factor in some of your goals, then following a restrictive diet, you've probably tried that before. And let me know how that's worked out for you, because my experience of working with people is it's not always the most effective way. So this is a slightly different approach. It's about teaching you not just the nutritional concepts, but also how to apply yourself mentally to doing it consistently to the point where you're getting results and you don't feel like you're restricted, you don't feel like you've got a lack of freedom in any way, shape or form. So it's, like I said, it starts on Monday. We've got this weekend to get signed up and get ready. The 12 weeks obviously only starts from Monday. If you end up having to press that pause button after the first or the second phase, you'll still be able to finish out the program. If you have a holiday or you're away, I mean, 12 weeks, that's going to take us through end of June, July, August, end of September. We're still going through September. You're probably going to be going away over the holidays. The information will be there for you when you come back. So you don't have to follow it along. It's absolutely fine to kind of put that pause on it, keep the emails coming in, hit the pause at the end. I don't expect anybody to just be sitting at home working through this for 12 weeks. That's not the expectation. You're going to be living your life and going through your life as per normal. There's going to be ups and there's going to be downs, the program is going to be ticking along in the background. So some parts of it are going to be easier for you to work on at different times than others. But like I said, I'm not just giving you the information. It's definitely going to be a two-way thing, and I'm here in your corner, ready to help you as you need to. The other thing which is kind of worth mentioning before I close this out and put the link up to sign up, and a few of you are already thinking about this is going to be for you, then is the Facebook group. On the Wagon is a phenomenal community, but it's much more thinky, much more, there's a lot of kind of motivating stuff in here, and this ain't going nowhere. This is always going to be here. I love this group, this community, but it's very different to Boost, because Boost is where the rubber hits the road, if you will. There's a lot more of the teachy stuff, and I do a lot of kind of bonus content in there as well, where I teach a lot more. I teach a lot of other stuff around the subjects. We'll be having discussions and debates, and there's a lot of other tools and resources like accountability groups and posts, and it's kind of Sunday planning sessions and other help that I can give in line with the rest of the program. So that's stuff that's there already. That's nothing new, particularly though there are bound to be some new things that we're talking about doing some kind of live group Zoom calls at some point. That was an idea that Keith had. Keith, I think you were watching earlier on. Thanks for that idea. It's a great one, because then we can actually all get online just for half an hour one day and actually discuss, have proper discussions and talk about this stuff, which I'm quite excited about doing as well. So lots happening. It all starts on Monday. Really hope some of you are thinking that, yeah, this is something that I can help you with. If you have any questions, then just either leave them below. If you're unsure about whether this is suitable for you, then just send me a message. Send me a PM, send me an email. Private message through Facebook is definitely the easiest way for me to kind of keep everything together and organized, and I can respond, make sure I don't miss anybody. But just reach out and ask me if you have any questions. You're unsure if it's definitely the right thing for you, and I'd be more than happy to answer that. But we need to have everyone who's decided to do this signed up by Sunday evening, because that's day 0. I'll be sending out some content on day 0, prepping you up, giving you a bit of an overview of the program, and walking through what's going to happen starting from Monday. So I'll put the link up in in a separate post, probably on this post as well, and then hopefully I'll see a few of you over there in the new Boost group. Speak to you soon, guys. Thanks for tuning in tonight. A little longer than I anticipated, but hopefully you'll forgive me for my tech problems as well. Bye for now.